right, welcome back to Everyone Needs an Aquarius. We are back. Dom. How are you doing? We're gonna jump right in, Dom.
Look, I got my board today.
You got your whiteboard. Okay.
Yeah, in the event it might need to be used.
All right, man. Well, this is a special one. A previous episode, if you all saw a clip we dropped where a brother was upset at another brother. I said it was a friend of mine from the crib, Dre Whitt, that was saying that he was tired of women because we didn't put up with so much. You know, they were responding to Dre's clip that was talking about all the different men that were, taking out their women or are abusive towards their women that had to be coming out. And they were like back to back. And of course, some people were jumping in the comments saying, well, that happens all the time. But it was just the way it was a string of them. And I think it was particularly the types of people that were involved in those. And that can never say if that's right or wrong. But you see former lieutenant governor, do something to this Dr. Dentist's wife. You think that you're separated away from that, and it shows that it's not. So it shows it's a more of an issue mentally. He has started a mental health advocacy for not just mental health, men's overall health, and getting them just back on track because nobody cares about our health. We die at 68, and then it's like we keep it pushing. That's just what it is. Yes, it is true.
Are you saying that people don't care about you? Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do, but I'm saying in general, most black men die at 68, and we don't care about our health. And let's say it was us as men.
Yeah, y'all don't. Y'all need to do better at that. As a person yes.
My man Dre Whitt is on here on Everyone Needs an Aquarius. Thank you for coming on, my brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. And I was surprised by the reaction of the clips too. Sometimes when you record things, I'll tell you, man, if you notice, I don't have any skips or pauses in my video. So I just kind of do what I'm doing now. I just turn on the phone. I have these thoughts in my head and I just kind of go. And sometimes you never know which ones are going to get picked up.
Oh, for sure.
And so for that one, I was just feeling so grieved because like you said, it was happening so many different times and there's so many different types of men. And then and in some cases, it wasn't just the man that would off himself and then off his wife, it's the children involved. And I just started recording and I didn't know it would get picked up in the way that it did. So I thank you for sharing that post because it was something that even though I have not personally experienced that, I just felt I was grieved when I heard about it and I just had to turn my phone on and start talking. So appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, man. And I want to give a shout out to my boy Curtis Tarver. He saw your video thing. He remembered one of his fraternity brothers ended up doing the same thing to his wife back in 2015, 2016. He was attorney. Both of them were attorneys. This was down in Houston, and they had triplet kids. And he took out his wife and took out himself. So like he was like, yo, that's like this person. I'm not gonna put that person's name out there, but he was like, yo, that was such stuff. Like he's like, I was like, that's right. He's like, yeah, I pledged him. And he was like, dang, like that's the exact same situation with the lieutenant governor. Similar situation. They had bread, they were straight. I mean, you would think all the bells and whistles of life, and then here you go.
And that's why we have to talk more about these things, man. So I did a follow-up video, and I even talked about it in the video that I did, is whether it's physical health or mental health, we have to talk more about changing the culture about what we accept as normal, right? Yeah. So, if man code is that certain things are okay, then men tend to gravitate toward that. If we say certain things are not okay, then men kind of go away from those certain behaviors. So hopefully in having all these different conversations, we can get men to start feeling better about their health. And that's just not about your physical health, again, your mental health, the way that you interact with your family, all these different things. And so what I saw in my 25 years working in healthcare in a lot of different capacities is that Black people suffer most for not what we do receive, what we don't. And that's something I would always tell people. And when I do talks, I say that Black people suffer more for what we don't receive versus what we do. So when we have these certain conversations, like you'll hear about the Tuskegee experiment, for example, right? People say, well, they injected those men with syphilis. No, they didn't. They had a treatment and they didn't give it to them.
They had a placebo group, a group that they was treating, a group to see.
Correct. So the name of the study was untreated syphilis in the Negro male. Or if you look at Frederick Ludwig Hoffman, who they call the father of life insurance in this country. The reason that, we don't have universal health care or that insurance itself was restricted because they thought that the race problem would solve itself if you deny Black people things. Don't take care of them and they will die off in a few generations. Don't insure them and they don't get access to get health care. They'll die off. And so I started to say, what could I do to be a translation between um, corporate America with these healthcare companies, whether it be clinical trial companies, pharmaceutical companies, hospitals and health systems, and then the patient on the other end that has a mother, a father, a sister, a brother that has these things that they need help with. So we talked about Orlando, we're Prime 55, good friend of mine. When I used to come home, me and Orlando used to do charity all the time together. He
Mm-hmm.
spent his life serving people, but then cancer took him. Or we talked about Tim White,
Yeah,
before we
man. Rest in
started.
peace to Tim. Yes.
Yeah, so we talk about all these people who um, want to live. They want to spend time with their families and the ones they love and have a good quality of life. But there's a disconnect between the clinical trial that's actually going to help them, or the treatment, or the access, or the insurance, and then the people. And then equipping people with the right information to be able to make those decisions. So we're still at a point to where disinformation targets our communities. And so you're fighting through that. So people don't want to vaccinate their kids. I know that's a very touchy subject in our community. Vaccines, for example, or black men going to get a colonoscopy because that's going to violate you, and so you have people dying too young of certain cancers. Women not getting access to certain mammograms and certain levels of care. So then, black women are disproportionately affected by certain aggressive forms of breast cancer. And so we have all these different things going on. And I said, you know what? Like, I have been fortunate enough to have a window into these things. So I'm just going to turn my camera on and start educating people about things. And if I know of a clinical trial going on, I'm going to point people to that. If I know of a cutting edge treatment, I'm going to talk about it. If I know about something, like the other day, I did a video about CA-125. It's a blood test that they use for ovarian cancer. Well, with the threshold, if you're black or if you're Native American, the way that the test is run, the threshold, black women test below the threshold. So you have untreated ovarian cancer in black women because the test is not designed in the right way. So I'm like, we got to start talking about these things so that black people are aware. And then I can go to these corporations and say, hey, here's a whole group of black people that will accept this treatment or accept this education or this aid. Y'all just got to go to them. And hopefully that will keep, like you said, black men dying at 68. Maybe
Mhm.
Papa will live to 85 now. Maybe he'll live to 90 now because we get access to those things and we do it early. And I think this is what when Obama was in office, I think this is what he was trying to do. So and I'll digress. We talk about reparations, right? And we saw a certain group just got reparations today. So we know it can happen. But do we want reparations as a word, or what does reparations look like as a whole? And I think what Obama tried to do, without being too political, is look at certain issues that disproportionately affect us and target those issues without calling it reparations. So even though it helps everybody, we're more disproportionately affected. So let's focus on those things and give people health care, for example, because you have to be alive to get anything. Um, so yeah, that's what I try to do with my platform. And on Mondays, I talk about mental health. And then through the week, I might do an educational post. I might do a clinical trial post, a lot of different things. And so I have an upcoming episode on Homer G. Phillips. So
Oh, yeah. Okay.
yeah. So I'm not old enough to be born at Homer G. Phillips, but my brother was. And did you know at one point in time, Homer G. Phillips themselves, just Homer G. Phillips only, um, trained half the black doctors on the planet in St. Louis. Half the black doctors on the planet came through Homer G. Phillips.
Yeah, when you go to the history, the African American History Museum,
Yes.
there's a whole thing about like Homer G. Phillips, Helen Nash is in there, a few
Really?
other
Yeah, Dr. Homer Nash,
doctors.
yeah, it's all in there.
Yeah,
So ask yourself, before Homer G. Phillips was built, what was healthcare like for black people in St. Louis, which St. Louis at once upon a time was the fourth largest city in the country. So think of it like St. Louis used to be like a New York, an LA.
Mhm.
yeah,
So think of before that, before Homer G. Phillips was built, we didn't have adequate facilities. So a hospital for a black person would be all the throwaway giveaway stuff that the white hospitals didn't want and was getting ready to throw in the trash. The leaky roofs, access, lack of access to all these different things, and that drives patient care. So you have this guy that's not a doctor. A lot of people think Homer G. Phillips was a doctor. He wasn't.
yeah.
He was an attorney. And so he has to go and make a deal with the white folks and say, hey, you guys got this bond issue because you want to do all these city improvements. I'll get the black people to vote for it. if you give us just $1 million out of this 80, I forgot, 83 million, $87 million, you just give us 1 million of this to build a hospital, just one. And so he got the black people to vote for it. It passed. They got the $1 million. They drug it on. They still didn't want to do it after they agreed
Yeah,
to
because
it.
they didn't get built till after he died, right?
For sure. Well, yeah. Well, he was killed.
Yeah, that's what
And
like it was,
his
yeah.
murder was never solved. So the work that he did to get this money and to get this
He was
hospital built,
murdered.
Yeah,
yes,
it's a whole thing.
on the street corner, he was shot, and nobody ever solved the case. Yes. See, this is why we have to talk about these things. He was just an attorney that gave a damn. Yeah, and he had enough training as an attorney to be able to fight the city to force them to live up to their promise and give that $1 million out of 80 something million dollars to build this hospital. And if you give black people just a little bit, look at what black people will do if you give them just a little bit. So that $1 million investment, we built a facility to train half the black doctors on the planet. So you talk about, first in class. Now, and I want to zoom out a little bit. Imagine to this day if Homer G. Phillips or a version of Homer G. Phillips was still there in the Ville neighborhood in St. Louis City. And so you had all these black doctors and the people employed by the hospital and that whole ecosystem. So you have those big, beautiful homes that used to be in the city, those big, beautiful brick homes. So you have taxes, you have property value, you have good schools, you have families. Think of what that
Yeah.
community would look like if that hospital would still be there. But what happened in Jim Crow, Missouri is what always happens, right? Barnes Jewish and some other places go up and then they pull out the investment. Homer G. Phillips can't survive anymore. They start shifting services to other hospitals. They start doing all these different things, and then Homer G. Phillips shrinks down, and then so that whole that black mecca of medicine that trains half the world's black doctors is gone. So not only does St. Louis suffer, the Ville, the community, everybody, the world suffers because now we have a shortage of black doctors and black nurses. So you have shortage of black doctors and nurses. What happens to the research? What happens to the drugs that come out in the pipeline that we don't know how these treatments work in black people? We don't know how these treatments work in women. It's all a ripple effect of lack of investment in black communities. Or when we do for ourselves, they cripple it. Oh, we ain't gonna let them black folks do too well. No, pull that money out of there. So it's so that's why I do the platform in a long-winded way.
Yeah, I knew Homer G. Phillips was the attorney that helped out all the soldiers in the East St. Louis riots, but I did not know he got killed and nobody had found out his murder. Wow, I did not know that. I did not know that.
That's why,
Wow.
and if we don't tell the stories, who will?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was a thing. Like it's just really, it's like the whole thing surrounding like Homer G. Phillips, even post, like it gets really interesting and a little bit dark, in a sense. But yeah, like it's like when you are able to have, when you pour back into like the community, being able to have all these thriving. My church is across the street from Homer G. Phillips. And so I was seeing it every week. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I think they have like some sort of urgent care or something now.
Yeah, they tried to redo it into an urgent care in the name of Homer G. Phillips. But for me, that's not enough. That is
Yeah.
not that, yeah, that's not enough. Think of in any community of where if you put a hospital or a major business like that in a community, what it does. I'll give you an example. So when I graduated out of undergrad, the first job I got, Johnson & Johnson came to St. Louis and came and got me. And I covered Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi. Then they said, you're promoted. We want you to go to Washington, D.C. and work. Can you imagine what happened to my brain when I came to Washington, D.C. and I walked into Howard University Hospital, and not only are you seeing these primary care doctors, your pediatricians, and that's nothing against pediatricians or primary care doctors, you're seeing black surgeons. So I'm walking through this hospital and I'm seeing people like Mark Rickford, Terrence Fulham, all these black doctors, Dr. DeWitty, and you're seeing these black doctors heal people. You're seeing a lady who had breast cancer and this black doctor made sure she's in remission. So think of what it does to the psyche of a whole community and think of what it does for the economy. Because guess what? Now, if you have a hospital in your community, you have a vested interest because Miss So-and-so that live around the corner from you have to come here to get her care, or her mama or her grandmama got to come here. And this is what pays my bill so I can buy that house and all these different things. And I think that, if we place the right things in our community, it's just going to take black people so many different directions we're not thinking about. Because what happens to black people a lot of times is we're not exposed to things. So certain black people don't work in professions just because we've never been exposed to it. What do you never seen a black surgeon before? What type of surgeon you could be? How can your brain even imagine that?
Yeah.
You know, so I guess I'll just go. I guess I'll just go be a rapper then. I guess I'll just go work at the factory because you haven't seen something that's an example of what you can be. So it's just so much ripple effect of like, and that's not against anybody that work to have their clinic, that the Homer G. Phillips Clinic, but it's not enough. We need true investment, and if we have enough people to fight for it, I think those things can happen. But it's going to be a long road of having people engaged to do that.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. We talk about Homer G. Phillips. Is like he's hanging around Annie Malone. All these different people are all in the same areas. It's like saying like, oh yeah, Dre was hanging out with such and such that. But these people became titans in the communities, you know. But they hanging out at Sarah Lou's or something, you know, like just
And
hanging
what
out.
Can we
happened?
not? Can we not? Because I still feel a type of way going over there Sunday after church and it was closed. I will never forget that. It
I
is
mean, I grew up on
ingrained.
St. Louis
It's
Avenue,
like
so I mean, Sarah Lou's is a staple of my community.
I can't. Like I am so like I'm. Somebody need to set the recipe out for them hamburgers.
And them frog legs too.
Okay, I wasn't going that
I ain't
far,
do that.
but even when I could eat shrimp, you know,
And
which
fried shrimp is
allegedly I
fine.
guess I can again, but I ain't even trying to try.
Pop that
But
Benadryl before you do that.
dude, look, I say all that to say, I think it's interesting when we talk about things and the impact and how grand of an impact is, and we think about how we assume things are on such a small scale because St. Louis or how we know St. Louis to be because we're from there. We know it's this declining city. Like we keep hearing the numbers, people leaving. Pretty much everybody going to Dallas. Dallas is the new St. Louis. And
Podcast, we definitely discuss healing. We discuss aspects of psychology. We discuss like you becoming the best you, mental wellness,
For sure.
health.
Femininity, parenthood, dating,
Definitely
as
dating.
single parents. And it's from a lens of two psychologists, you know.
Yeah.
So
but also two people who grew up like with both parents, married parents, and then like you all know that Chloe and I are the youngest of our crews, like her siblings and my siblings. So yeah, so it's from that perspective.
looking
as
at
that.
life through that lens. So
Yeah.
you're gonna get a whole lot of things from us. From us being women, going through life as parents, and all of these awesome attributes. But
Yeah.
yes, womanology, the study of women.
The study of women.
Houston too.
Texas is the new
Yeah, there you go.
and thinking about like the impact. So when you talked about St. Louis being like at one point the fourth largest city, and I think about it from the standpoint of being invested in fashion, like a huge manufacturing outlet as well. And all the people that used to come through St. Louis and how we even St. Louis is called the gateway to the West simply because of Lewis and Clark. Like
Right.
they left St. Louis to venture out west. And I think about like our impact and everything globally that we have on the world, and us, people just not knowing how rich our history is. So, and like when we think about history, it's like it goes back to like education and knowing how to like do the research and really understand what that looks like. Because I think if a lot of people knew and took the time to research it and study what our city is about, it would change a lot. And when we were talking about it offline, like what I'm trying to word this properly, or like lack of imagination and all these different things, just because of how tough and rough of rough shape the city is in, especially after the tornado that hit last year, and it's still on. We're trying to get it on the incline versus the decline, which they have seen a slight decline post tornado. Like, what would you encourage people to do to pour back into the city? Like, what would you tell them to start?
Yeah, I'll tell you this. And to me, the solution is very simple. St. Louis won't heal and Missouri won't heal until it solves the race problem. Until Jim Crow Missouri solves the race problem and lets go of the last grip of that Jim Crow style of racism that they have, it will not grow because corporations come there and they see the race problem. And if you're a progressive type of company, that was just in San Francisco or something like that, you're not going to come to Missouri. If you need a certain level of people that are educated and you can't find enough people that have a certain level of education because of the Jim Crow style education system that Missouri as a whole has and St. Louis has, where you have very have and then a whole bunch of have nots, and you don't have enough people that are enough engineers, enough this and that, then companies can't move here. So
Yeah.
until they make it equitable for everybody across education, across housing, across healthcare, across wealth, it's going to continue to suffer because you're going to have those people that do very well, but they're such a small minority, and then the rest of the people are very have not. So I think that's part of people what they need to do is understand that the race problem is the basis of the problem, and then demand better, and then put public officials into office that will put that as a priority. I mean, it's a lot of other things that they try to negotiate around. Oh, what's going to happen with the Rams money and this and that? No, if you walk in the office, or if I were running for office and I moved back to St. Louis, this is what I would talk about. You have to remove those barriers and make it equitable for everybody. We can't have it. Well, this is the North City, so I guess the schools will just be bad with St. Louis public schools. Or, maybe we'll put everybody in the county to get a decent school. If you don't have a certain basis of excellence that you have to have for everybody that's going to lift all boats, then you're going to continue to have the problems that you have. And name it jobs, housing, healthcare, all that. And so so you either, I mean, New York is doing this to a certain level where Mandani is saying, hey, in order to balance this budget, in order to get city service or whatever, we got to take a little bit from these guys, not penalize. Well, they call it penalizing the rich. I don't even call it penalizing, but I do think that people need to pay their fair share to make sure that everybody gets a certain base level.
Yeah.
And Missouri they don't believe in that. They just very bootstrappy, get it yourself. And what happens is there's no opportunity. So the people who would get it themselves end up leaving.
Damn. Yeah. No, I think I agree with you. Um, Especially when it comes to putting people in certain places. I always say, like, I'm like, y'all, we have to shake arms for, like, like certain people that might not look like us, to have them infiltrate certain places in order to make things fair and balanced for everybody. And I think it's just under people understanding how important it is to do something simple, which is vote. We see how important voting is right now with the midterms coming up, and everybody, restructuring, the lines in their cities to make it more, more impactful for white people, and less impactful for people that look like us, taking away all these different things and redistributing, you know everything at this point, because it's not just wealth. It's like basic things for people that people should have access to survive. And so
Bingo.
I think what's alarming is the conversation that we're having just as a whole across the country about voting and why voting is important, and getting people to understand that they have to do their due diligence and be able to stand up and put their foot down and fight back. I think that's one of the things that I think that we as a country have semi become lackadaisical with, is revolting. Like, people don't fight back anymore. Like, overseas, they do not play that. Like, every time I go to Paris, I was like, well, what happened today? Because yesterday y'all was bombing the shops.
They be wilding.
They be wilding over there. And it doesn't, like, sometimes it makes it to the news, but they're fighting all the time over there about something. Like, they had a huge uprising because they wanted to increase the retirement age, which ultimately,
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and ultimately they did increase the retirement age, and people was pissed. But they voted. They didn't vote for that guy the next term. But I think that's a good conversation to have, because, like, we get online, we have these conversations, and it's like, okay, we can have the conversation, but when are we going to really take a step back and put boots to the ground?
It's systemic again, right?
Yeah.
So you have, because you talked about gerrymandering, but even before this whole gerrymandering fight, you also had other parts of the Voters' Rights Act that was pulled back as well. So now they even so not only do you have this big group of people in the Black community that are non-voters, I believe they're the biggest block of Black voters in the Black community are non-voters, and then the people that do want to vote, you're gonna make it harder for them to vote. So you shut down these polling locations. They got to drive further. They don't know where they're polling. We saw it in Texas with the Jasmine Crockett Talrico race. Like, people don't know where their polling places. All these different things. So the people that want to vote, you're making it hard for them to vote, and then you got this whole group of people that don't vote. So, but again, it all goes back to the basics. So if you have a good community where people are more educated, they're more likely to vote, right?
Yeah.
And if they're more educated, they're more likely to vote. They're more likely to care about their health and the health of their spouse and the health of their children. So all these things, and then if they are better educated, they're better employed, they're better health, they're a voter, they likely own a home. So all these things start to go hand in hand. And so that's why, we, the ones of us that speak up about this, have to keep speaking up about it
Yeah.
to drown out the bad voices, because
Yeah.
somebody likes you. Somebody listen to you, they follow you, every post you make, they like it, they comment. And so if you're speaking out about it, they'll take what you said, and maybe it's only a 30-second clip of what you said, but they'll take that and they'll tell somebody and tell somebody and tell somebody. And we can't rely on the politicians or the doctors
Mhm.
and all these things to do the work, because sometimes they speak in a language most people don't understand. That's another
Yeah.
reason why I even started, doing healthcare content, because I noticed, and this was during the pandemic. Were either you guys on Clubhouse during the
Yeah,
pandemic?
I only could do it one time. I was,
Yeah.
it was too much for
He
me.
said I did it one time.
Yeah, so what happened? And I used to listen to Clubhouse a lot. I wouldn't get into arguments, but I would listen a lot of times.
He said, I,
Yeah, I'm not
he
gonna
said I
argue
was
with
not a
people.
part of the problem, guys. I also wasn't moaning in rooms. Neither was I, by the way.
Yeah, I mean it was crazy. But what I noticed that happened was, especially because you had the COVID vaccine, you had COVID, right? And so
Hmm.
you had all these doctors that would be on Clubhouse because people were at home, doctors arguing with these content creators. And a lot of the content creators were conspiracy theorists and things like that. But the conspiracy theorists and the content creators knew how to communicate better.
Mm-hmm.
The doctors don't take debate in medical school. They don't take, they don't have degrees in mass communication and things like that. They go to medical school. So they speak medical, they speak treatment algorithms, they speak in risk assessment. They have a certain way that they speak, and you have a small group of them that speak well. Like the Dr. Oz's and stuff like that that can actually speak, but a large group of them mostly speak clinical. But then you got these other people who will, I mean, they would say so many things that were factually incorrect that you couldn't even get them all. But the way that they would say it, they would simplify
Hmm.
it. They knew how to communicate it. They knew how to be persuasive. So people would go, I ain't trusting that doctor. I don't care if they are black. I don't know. You ain't injecting me with that poison, because the doctor cannot communicate to these people their value prop. And so it takes people like us that are not doctors. We can be the attorneys, we can be the communicators, we can be the Homer G. Phillips of the world, to actually go out and communicate and actually impact the world in a way that somebody in a white coat can't. So we have to go out, and again, it's as far as education, politics, healthcare, we have to be the ones to put it where the ghost can get it, as Joe Madison used to say. Put it where people can, wherever I don't care if they got a sixth grade education or a ninth grade education, whatever it is, put it to where, oh, well, you know what? I probably need to eat this, or I probably need to go and walk 30 minutes a day, or I probably need to get exercise. I probably need to stay off the red meat. All these little things. Or you know what? Here is a. So I had a buddy that was skeptical about COVID vaccines, and I said, go to Cuba. You're rich. Go to Cuba. You trust the medical community in Cuba. They look like you. They're on the cutting edge, and he went and he did that. So now, obviously,
Yeah,
an
that was
You're
extreme
right.
example.
privilege.
That's an extreme example, but the fact that he knew somebody that he could call and ask the question, and I met him where he was because he wasn't trusting Pfizer and Moderna. He wasn't trusting that, but I could give him some other kind of way to where that day I was able to at least gain some level of trust. And then he went and got the vaccine. And oh, did 5G happen? Did you grow a third eye or third ear? No. Like, okay, so there we go. So now when I have a conversation around managing your diabetes, he's gonna listen to me again. Or managing your blood
Yeah.
pressure.
I'm sorry to cut you
You
off,
get
but
it.
it's being able to meet people where they are on their level, right? So
Right.
that's essentially what you did, and you're saying that there was a disconnect uh between people trying to communicate that on Clubhouse and to the masses, trying to get people to understand. And I think that just historically, based on our history as as Black people in this country, it was kind of harder to kind of push or getting people to understand. Like I have like a girlfriend where she was like, "Oh, my both of my parents died because of the vaccine, because I think they both had diabetes," and I'm like, "Okay, um, okay," and so I would, and not trying to now. Okay, so now I have to start questioning you. you know, while you're saying what you're saying, I was like, okay, that's understand. I can understand that you have like, you know, qualms about different things in vaccines just in general, based on what happened to your parents, because, you know, she's like, I felt like the doctors pushed it on them and they would have been fine, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, you know, I think it depends, because like, you know, they are more susceptible and were more at risk because they had a pre-existing condition. I was like, I got it because I have asthma. And that was one of the things that I for me as a safety issue, which you know, I wouldn't go on to get COVID for like a year and a half, almost 2 years after it dropped. But why I say it like that?
Yeah, it sounds like an album dropping.
Yeah, I'm like, why did I say that like that? I'm like, I swear, it sounds like you know. But I did it because like having conversations with people. So as we're having dialogues, and I remember a friend saying that, yo, like when I got it, it was still bad, but I was grateful to had gotten the vaccine, because I don't know if I would be here if I did not get that vaccine, because of all the pre-existing ailments that I had. So,
and we don't talk to people. We make them feel stupid, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, people speaking PhD level on their ivory towers, and of course, not all doctors. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Again, right, make people feel dumb and stuff like that. And it's like, no, I want to walk you through why diabetes is, first of all, more disproportionately higher in our communities anyway, right?
Yeah.
And high blood pressure, and those pre-existing conditions lead down a whole route of things. So, you know, and then explain how a vaccine works, you know, in very basic terms. And so, but not making people feel dumb. So like, you did the right thing. You acknowledged what she said about her parents, because you don't want to be like, that ain't the reason your mom and dad ain't. You don't want to do that. It's just, hey, you know, let's unpack this a little bit. You know, your parents already had pre-existing conditions that already kind of put them at risk already. And so although a vaccine isn't perfect, it's something that we hope that can save some people. And we can look directly at the numbers and show that as soon as the vaccine rolled out en masse, that started to happen. But the bigger conversation also is, what can we do to make sure that less of our parents have diabetes and high blood pressure and all these different things? And we don't, because, you know, when I was growing up, people would just accept it. Oh, so-and-so got the sugars. And you would see, like we would just accept it. Oh, it runs in the family. High blood pressure runs in the family. And
you know, he got the gout.
Yep, got the gout. Yeah, they have gout and stuff like that, or, you know, gallstones and stuff. But we never used to have those conversations of how can we not put ourselves in that condition in the first place. Again, go back to what I said in the beginning, that, you know, the original plan is to not deny people things and they would die off.
Yeah.
You know, they would die off earlier. So Black people started to experience this generational trauma of death all the time, people dying early, people being sick all the time, people being denied things all the time. Instead of flipping it and saying, no, like, I want my mama to be here till she's 100. Mama, no, we going to the doctor. This is a doctor I know. This is a facility in our community. This is a doctor I know. This is where I can get the right information. So we're traumatized by that. If it ain't the violent crime, it's the health issues in our community.
Yeah.
And so, it's
Big
just,
mama, your arm.
Yep. I mean, you know, we all know, maybe y'all do, but we all know somebody who had an amputation. Or, you know, they're blind, or they have some kind of complication from having diabetes or high blood pressure.
Look, don't listen. Look, you're traumatizing me. You're triggering me. So,
see,
look, my patient that was here, I kicked out last year. My patient.
Oh yeah, she had a live-in patient with her for a while. Yeah. So now, Dre, I do want to apologize to Dre though. He jumped into a landmine with the Drake thing that was specifically for Doja. It was the thing is, then the Doja replied to like 20 hours later. I literally just threw a landmine off of him because he gets so emotional about Drake. I just like to put stuff up to mess with him, and then everybody else jumped into it. It was really only one man I was doing it
listen,
for.
let me tell you before this. Oh my God, Doja gonna kill me.
It was one man because he is so emotional about him.
I love Doja, man.
I told Doja, I said it was like, I said, hold on, I'm overstimulated. You gotta slow down. And it was like we was talking about. I said, you cannot be. He loves the show forever, and so he's really pissed. He's been harassing the cast in the comments because they skipping ahead. I'm like, that's like me being mad that King of the Hill skipped ahead 7 years. Okay, like you talk about being glued, tied to a show, and I was like, oh shoot. I said, Doja, I said you might be a little bit on the spectrum. You might have a little neurodivergency over there about this show. I love you, but they not real people. They not real.
But no, but
So
Drake did have a
the
great.
Drake commentary. Oh my god, I was like, I'm gonna have to mute you, bruh.
I didn't see any of the posts that he made about it. I didn't see that.
But Drake, you had a dope post you put up like a day ago about Drake and the album, not just the discourse around the musically art, but you were saying like, and you can explain it better because I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. So and listen, I was one of those guys.
What if DOC never got into that car accident? What if Ice Cube didn't leave NWA? What if the Game never leaves G-Unit? What if Teddy Riley never moves to Virginia? What if we got that J. Cole and Kendrick album? What if the RZA would have never had that flood? How would the hip-hop world sound today? Welcome to Hip Hop What-Ifs, the podcast where we dive into the biggest what could have beens in hip-hop history. From iconic album delays to game-changing partnerships that never happened. We reimagine the culture we love and explore its alternative paths. And you are now at Hip Hop What-Ifs.
I'm a hip hop head. I don't really watch TV, but if you give me a good album or a good documentary, I lock in. So I was one of those people that stayed up to like sit up all night and go through all 3 albums. And I did that with Kendrick. I do that with everybody. And so, but what I got from the album, what's that?
I said, you hear that, Doja? He listened to all 3. He did it. You listen to clips, you listen to GNX, and you listen to Drake.
All of it. And you know what? And I have, things that I love about all the albums and things that I don't love about the album. So for example, Kendrick, I like the fury that he raps with. I think he comes with emotion. I think he comes with fury. His pen on records like I Deserve It All. Mm-hmm. To me, that's poetry slam, right? Mm-hmm. That's poetry slam. So I love Kendrick. One thing I didn't like about GNX, and I'm just setting this up so people don't think I'm attacking Drake either, is that hip hop for me, before I was ever able to afford to travel, that and books were the way I was able to travel. So, for example, I can listen to a New York album. I've never been in New York in my life, and it takes me to the Bronx. It takes me to Brooklyn. If I'm listening to, even now in current day, I want to listen to a Rick Ross album, and I want to feel like I'm in Miami. And so, I used to do that with LA albums too. Mm-hmm. And so when I listened to a Kendrick album, I wanted LA. And I felt like it was too Bay heavy. I love that they rock with the Bay. I know they tight with the Bay. I get it, but
that's
if I want to hear,
that's a newer thing, though.
It's a newer thing, right? But because we grew up on a different area of Bay Area rap. Like we grew up on Mac Mall, we grew up on Mac Dre, E40 and the Click, Richie Rich, Sibo. Rapping folks. So we had Bay Area as a separate carve out, and so we went to different areas for different type of rap. So I went to LA when I wanted LA rap, and I went to the Bay if I wanted that. Houston with the Ghetto Boys, that whole Suave House. It was all these. This is how Black people were able to travel before they were able to travel, right? So that's kind of my only knock against GNX. With Drake, the Drake album, I mean, I like the album too. It reminded me of the Michael Jackson History album, like where Michael Jackson went from being Motown Black Michael Jackson to being this big pop star, this global phenomenon. And so you throw the album together and you're trying to figure out how to please everybody, because you had to have a little something with all 3 albums. You got this EDM pop crowd, you got your hip hop people that want to hear bars, you got all these different people you're trying to please, and everybody don't get everything that they want. But
Dangerous is really Black. That's we're going. I mean, and it got too Black for his casual fan. Dangerous was.
So it's one of those things to where so for example, what I wanted from Iceman, just me personally, I wanted him to just do pretty much those I call them Alabama slappers, like when he used to go with Future, Young Thug and all that, like What a Time to Be Alive, Jumpin'. I wanted that. But he didn't do that on this album. Go ahead.
So, okay. So as a person that listened, I text D and I tried to get through all 3. I did get through Iceman. It was like nails on a chalkboard a little bit for me, because I felt like it was a lot of it felt like one long track. Like I felt like there was no differentiation.
It is.
The beat. And to me, that's a sleeper. I want to be able to connect. Like there were, and as a person, like trying to, like I told him, I was like, yo, like I'm trying to get into like the lyrics or whatever, and I can't because this sounds like all like throwaway, like or bonus tracks. Like sometimes like a bonus tracks isn't as
Mhm.
good as what's, but this is it could have made the album, but it just wasn't, So that's how I felt like, honestly, Drake, nothing was the same, and you need to like get back on that. And I think
He has LeBron James problem, right?
huh?
I said Drake has a LeBron James problem, right? So think about LeBron James is what, 42 years old now?
41.
Yeah,
41. So when you have somebody that has a longevity run for as long as LeBron James has, and I'm drawing a line here, same thing with Drake. Drake came out first time, what, 2009?
Yeah.
Nine. So you're almost 20 years later, and arguably depends on how much people love or hate Drake, he's been at a high level the whole time.
Yeah.
So even if you're like LeBron and you miss a step because you're not in your prime like you was when you was 20 years old, you start to run out of places to go. If people start saying, well, LeBron didn't do this, LeBron didn't do that. And I think that's probably, which is what I covered in my video, right? Like you start to run out of for places that people go, and people start picking at things. And I think what Drake needs to do, and I talked about this for Mental Health Monday, is we have all been in situations before where we've been embarrassed. He lost the battle. The whole nation laughed at him. They tried to Ja Rule dude. Like he had a rough year. Like Drake had a rough.
He also made it rough for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it is self-inflicted.
Yeah, but the problem that we have
to do, and that's no shade, but since it's called Everyone Needs an Aquarius, because y'all do, we keep it real. A lot of Scorpios tend to do that.
Like, you know what? I know very little about astrology.
That's okay, baby. I got
yeah.
you. I said
I know very little about it. But the message I was trying to say is that we all are going to go through a rough period like that in our life where we take an L. Whether it's in our love life and somebody that we love dump us, we lose a job that we had. It's okay to go through that, but you have to be able to take that revenge, like that. Because I mean, the way he was barring up, I give him his credit. He was going at people. He's barring up. It's okay to take that as fuel for revenge, but you can't stay in that revenge and let it consume you and become your identity. So, okay, you had a chance to come out, get your grievances out, do whatever you had to do on this album or whatever, but you can't stay there. You got to get it out. And then that cannot stay your identity. You have to get back to who you are. Because like you said, nothing was the same. Get back to your core of who you are, who you want to be, and then emerge from that as a new version of yourself. And that's the only way you're going to find peace. Because if you don't come out of that, then it's going to be a permanent, the next album and the next album, they're all going to be grievances. Instead of people saying, okay, you lost, Kendrick said what he said, you said what you said, this is who Kendrick going to be, this is who you going to be. Get back to it. So he has to center and find himself again if he wants to find peace. If he wants to keep that aggression and that vengeance, he's not going to find peace. And I don't know Drake. I don't know his mind. I don't know how he's thinking, but I was just saying as a life lesson. Like I know in my life, I've had times in my life where I've been so angry because I felt like I had to prove something. Like a girl didn't want me, especially when we were younger. Y'all some good looking folk. Y'all may have not had this, but when I was younger,
no, stop it, Dre. He's capping. This is all cap right here.
I'm saying like, but when I was younger, a big frustration that I used to have in my love life is, I would have a girl that I really liked. I was really into her, mama always told me just be nice and everything would work out. But women couldn't see me for where I was at the time. Because maybe I was poor, or maybe I was going to school, or maybe I wasn't the guy selling dope at school, or the cool rapper. And a woman couldn't see me for who I would become. They would only see me for where I was. And then, you get a woman that leaves you for the older guy, the guy with more money and things like that. So I used to walk around with revenge all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like one day I'm gonna get this money. One day I'm gonna do this. One day I'm gonna do that. But because I was taking L's, right? I was taking L's. You see young girl riding the car with this other dude. You know what I'm saying? Like you taking L's.
Get it out, baby. Get it out.
But this is why we got to talk. It's for the mental health.
Yeah.
And so I always used to be so perplexed at why women couldn't see me for who I was on the inside. So if I tell a woman one day I'm gonna become this and that, I wanted a woman to be like, yeah, I think I'm gonna ride with you because just like a stock, you low now, but you gonna go up. And I couldn't ever get that. People could never see the vision. But if I would have stayed in that, I would have become a womanizer. I would have become the guy that's online, like the guy that was coming after me.
The
That's
red
bitter.
pill, you'd have been a red pill
That's
incel.
what I'm about to say. Oh, you would
So
have been with academics in them.
Exactly. And so now you get my point. What I was saying, you can't stay in it. So if that woman dumping you and breaking your heart forces you to get in the gym and get your body right, or go buy some new clothes, or go get a new haircut, or go get educated, or go get you somebody, whatever, that's cool. If that woman, that heartbreak is what fuels you to become a better version of yourself. But you can't stay there and be like, okay, I'm a dog all women now, or all women ain't this, all women. You can't do that. You got to get back to who you are. And then once you find peace, emerge as a new version of yourself and walk in that purpose. So that was the kind of message I was trying to get out with that it's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel like you were wrong. Whether you self-inflicted or somebody did it to you, all of that is okay. Use that as fuel to get back on your square. But once you get back on your square, you can't stay in it. You can't stay in it. You have to just move on after that and get, if you don't, you won't have peace. So that's kind of what I was getting at. And I didn't really want to get into my personal feelings about the album on that, because I knew that people on both sides, whether they're Drake stands or Kendrick stands, was going to kind of hijack the message. Mm-hmm. So at the end, and I just be freestyling, I was like, oh, I just want to hear what you think of the album. And I shouldn't even said that, but that was my bigger point. Because again, one of my buddies who was a Kendrick stan came right on there and just went right in. And I'm like, bro, that was the last sentence I said at the end. Yeah, right at the end.
I think it's one of those things where it's like you try to go into stuff with like an open mind, and like as a person that, you know, like I've been very honest that I've enjoyed Drake, but nothing was, you know, up until Nothing Was the Same, but I've outgrown Drake, and I think that that's where the disconnect is, at least for me, and in trying to go to like the what's the one where it's like the dance tracks and stuff. I was like, oh my God, what is this?
I don't know.
Like,
was that Views? You talking about Views or?
No. So it's the three albums.
Oh, the Lover Boy.
This latest one. Habib. You talking about Habib, or you talking about
It's the one where the album cover is kind of blurry. It's like the girl or something that somebody.
Maid of Honor.
Yeah, I tried to listen to that.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't for us. It wasn't for us. That's what I mean by.
And that's okay. And
he was trying to make something for everybody. That's what I'm saying.
And I also understand. Like, I'm not mad at him trying to get out. You know him with the 3 projects, with fulfilling his contractual agreement to Universal. So I'm not mad at that at all. But I just was like, that's why I felt like I was like, oh, this feels. I felt disconnected because I don't know what I was honestly expecting, because like I'm no rap connoisseur, you know, like I always lead with that, but understanding like you know like battles in general and like being around for being able to see how people go back to back, I just felt like his time was delayed, and so now it's been 1.5 years, 2 years and you're dropping this project that you've been teasing for all this time, and it's like, this is what we got. And so I kind of feel like it's a little too late.
That's not historically, that's not unusual.
I don't know, like I think it's just like because we saw what he was coming out with, going back and forth, like when they was going back and forth, I was like, this is what we gonna get. And you like the stuff that you were saying before was better than this.
Like with Family Matters, but so that's the whole thing, right? Jay-Z talked about this in his GQ interview, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of people forget that even after the Jay-Z and Nas battle with Ether and Takeover and all that, they kept going back and forth. They just wasn't
sending subliminal shots.
Yeah, it just was no social media back then, mm-hmm. So you couldn't track it in real time. So that's why I was like, historically, you still had people that went back and forth. You know, it just wasn't social media, and that's what Jay-Z was kind of saying. So Jay-Z was even saying now, like, it wasn't just like keep it on wax and we done. It was a whole, like, to her point, he was like, Drake was rapping better during the battle, songs like Family Matters. But once you lose the popularity contest online, now you got the whole internet. That's a whole different element.
He got all that dope stepped on.
He got washed. Because I'll tell you,
Johnny Mathers was actually a decent track. I can't even hate.
But as soon as he dropped it, he got stepped on, right? And if anybody goes back to my post that I made, I said two things. First of all, this is not a battle I want, because basically it's the same thing happening in our community all the time. You have two people that are, I think Drake and Kendrick are two totally different artists, first of all, apples and oranges. And what they can build together and what hip hop could become was much better than what they could do divided. Because now you're not getting all the collaborations that was driving hip hop and making all the money for all the rappers. Now you don't have anymore because people had to choose a side. So all the people in the Kendrick camp can't work with all the people in the Drake camp, and then all the people that Drake feel like turned against him, he not working with. So now you're not even getting this collaboration anymore. So for me, that was the one thing that I didn't want in the beef. And it was the second point I was gonna say, but I forgot what it was.
Real quick, my homeboy told me, he was like, it's one of our homeboys we went to college with, and he's like, man, I don't know why you still be hanging with this dude. He ain't gonna grow up. And he said that's his relationship with Drake now at this point. And he's like, you've been telling me that he was a sucker for a long time.
Well, I mean, Drake has outlived the shelf life.
He ain't gonna grow up.
Right. I mean, if you think about the average shelf life of a rapper, of how long they're hot before they kind of fall off and become a legacy act. He
doesn't want to become a legacy act. But that you're supposed to graduate to a legacy act.
Well, only in hip hop do we have that rule, though, right? People go, "Oh,
no. I think other genres have legacy acts as well.
Like not like rock does. Though, when I go,
what last rock person has had like a multi-platinum album that's over 50?
You know what? They get it through touring,
right? But I'm saying, but Drake can tour and get hella money. You don't have to try to be in the club though, come on, slamming girls. Like you 40 years old, my PG.
Yeah, and you know what? And I think that's the issue, right? That that I just spoke about, like the evolution of an artist. So there's certain things. Okay, so yes, Pusha T is gonna tell us about a brick or two every album.
Every album.
But the bars.
But also Pusha T talks about social issues, and that's one of my things. Rap as a whole right now. But where we are right now in the country, I'm mad at every rapper that nobody's speaking on what's going on in the current climate.
Yeah, all of them. Don't pick and choose. All of them.
I think when we talk about social things and community things, it's like, okay, in this climate, you think it's okay to name your album Iceman. Yes, you're not an American, but it's also impacting people globally at this point. This is a global issue, and this is what you decide to name your album. I felt like that was
artists don't think about that. Artists
exactly.
Artists, and this is the whole artist community as a whole. And this is what I mean by, like, when we isolate particular artists when they put their art out, they think almost in a vacuum. They don't think about because what would happen is you end up with Andre 3000 if you overthink everything or what the public's gonna say. You end up with stage fright and you never put anything out. So typically they go with how they feel, and this is just me being friends with a lot of these guys. How they feel and what comes through them creatively. They just have to go with it. They can't say, well, yeah, I can't name it Iceman now because this guy got office and he got ice going crazy. And then name it that. Oh, but I can't name it that because this will happen. So artists don't really do that. And it's in all kind of art. Whether it's music, whether it's comedy, any of those things, they just come up with what they come up with. And they say, you know what? I'm going to put it out there and I hope people like it. Because if you don't, Iceman don't go 2 years to come out. It goes 5 years. Andre 3000 is scared as hell. We love Andre 3000, but he's scared as hell for this particular reason. What do I have to rap about? What do I have to say?
Him, honestly.
What's that?
It's the Aquarius in him.
Yeah, I mean, so but he's scared. And so when these artists hit a certain age, but think of, so how old is Andre 3000? He's in his 40s still, or is he 50 yet?
I think he's early 50s.
Yeah. So but he's younger than Jay-Z, which is 56, right?
Yeah, he's definitely younger.
What's that? So okay, so you're giving my point.
He's 50. He'll be 51 in a couple of weeks.
Andre 3000 is?
Yep.
Yeah. How old? 51.
51.
Yeah. So that's what a lot of artists worry about when they hit a certain age. Even when you think about, like, I'll tell you, me and Domino used to have this back and forth all the time because, like, I've always been a big fan of Domino, right? Even from back in the day. Yeah. But when you start talking about, like, the age of how long they should be out there, man, it's so many dope artists around. And I was with Domino. I actually came out to LA and Domino was recording. you would be amazed at how many of these guys still sound exactly vocally like they did in their prime, but they nervous about really putting stuff out and going full-throated because of the criticism that's going to come along with it. And that was the generation of guys who actually had something to say. So when you go back and listen to an old Ice Cube record or old Scarface record and things like that, these were the guys talking about the social commentary that we need today. They were the blueprint of talking about. So, for example, where we talk about voting and ICE and what happens to live in the street.
People don't want it either, though, Dre. That's the part of this as well.
Yeah, people want turn up music all the time now. You know what I'm saying? But I think that you have an audience for those type of things, unless we're hypocrites to say, oh, well, Drake needs to grow up, and then Drake go do some music like that, and we like, yeah, people don't want it. So it's got to be.
I thought that would be great if he did, though. I thought that'd be the biggest heel turn in hip hop if he went to drop an album. But I also have a feeling that he's down with those MAGA type of dudes anyway.
You know what? I don't think so. I think
all the people he hang with are MAGA, so I kind of got to think you MAGA too.
No, I'll tell you why. I don't know the last time you've been to Toronto.
Yeah, I've been to Toronto maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Man, those people are so civilized, and they think the total to a person that lives in Toronto, even people that you would consider progressive or a Democrat or left wing, we look like MAGA to them. That's how progressive they are in Canada. So. Yeah, so Drake being a MAGA would be so far away from even the concept of what a person in Toronto, like, look at how we fight again over healthcare. Them, they like, y'all gotta do what? Yeah, y'all gotta do what for healthcare? Y'all gotta do it. So I mean, and that's not saying that it's a utopia, or even what we think about racism and diversity. You go to Toronto, everybody mixed with something, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's.
I think there's like a fair trade-off, because I know that. I think they have like higher like taxes or whatever, but it pays into it. And so I know that's one of the complaints, but I think it's just,
where does Drake live at in America? He ain't paying them Canadian taxes.
I know it,
and he let the White House keep using all this stuff though without checking them.
But you know, I think at this point it creates, you know, it's kind of the old school thing, you know, if, you know, all press is no such thing as bad press. You know, I think that's kind of the tip that he regardless of
or the label, right? Because remember, these albums are still under the label of Universal Music. Yeah. So it's not just him going, take my stuff down. Yeah. It's the label, and it's a legal process that goes behind that. And Universal probably is like, you know what? He getting ready to leave us. We finna milk this and get as much money as we can. Right. So we ain't, you know, like we not jumping out there too. It's almost like somebody that you really don't like and you see him get beat up, but you're a cop, so you got to stop the fight. I'm gonna go over there a little late. So wait, so if you're getting this additional revenue by getting pushed by the White House, I know you leaving me and you're already getting dragged. I'm gonna let you get dragged. I'm gonna go over there and tell them take it down, but I'm gonna go a little slow, and I'm gonna get this additional spins because Trump got MAGA spinning all this stuff. So I guess because and there's some other examples, and I talked about this earlier. So you know, they was using "I Did It My Way" by Frank Sinatra. The Trump administration was, and Frank Sinatra's daughter could not stop it because the way that, you know, the licensing rights work, she couldn't stop it. Or look at how long Isaac Hayes, you know, like I don't know if y'all follow Isaac Hayes III.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but look how long it took for him to get Hold On, that record. Yeah. Like it took them forever to get the Trump administration to stop using it, because he was like, stop using it, and they was like, no, who, like everything they do. Yeah, and so he had been doing the legal process in the background for so long. By the time he went public, they was already trying to work it out, and it didn't work. So these processes are more complicated than people see on the back end for all. Because I mean, Sinead O'Connor. I mean,
everybody not Beyonce, where you could just go in and pull some shit, because like they had used some of her stuff.
Exactly.
And it was like immediately. But also I know like she owns like the licensing and rights to her stuff. And it's nothing for a cease and desist. And like, hey, we can see you because you didn't ask permission. And that's where a lot of it comes from. Like that, I think that was the issue, because Isaac Hayes, like theirs didn't take too long.
It took a long time.
And maybe it was 2 songs that they used then, because I know that they had pulled it by the time Isaac III said something, they pulled it.
And that's what I'm saying. By the time he said something, they had been battling in the background legally for a long time.
He said something and it was gone like right away.
It
was somebody else. But I think it's like a part of it, like people, when you don't understand how any of that works and you just go and clips. You cannot do that. Like legally, you cannot do that.
MAGA don't care. They do that with everything. They take what
I
they
know they
want.
don't care, but
And
I'm
they be
like,
like, stop us. We finna give reparations to all these January 6ers, $1.8 billion or whatever. And who gonna stop us? Go to court and stop us. What y'all gonna do? They do that. I mean, we know how liberal Sinead O'Connor is. They took her stuff. Like, it's so many artists. They just be like,
that was. I was like, it was a white girl.
yeah, listen, it was a bunch of them. They go online and whatever aligns with pop culture, they take it and they're gonna be like, go to court, stop us. Because you got to go spend money to pay your lawyers to stop us. And by the time you go and go through all that stuff in the legal process, we done with you. That is their whole strategy, right? They're just blitzing everybody. And it's sickening how they're doing that. But Trump probably feels, because when he was in office the first time, he passed a law that actually helped. I will say he actually helped a lot of artists get paid easier. And so he probably feel like it's his right. He can do what he want to do. And so it's just it's sickening to see. I can't believe we got almost another 3 years.
So it took 2 years for that, just to research real quick. It took 2 years for him to get. It was started in 2024 from the Republican convention, November 2026. They didn't sell it till February 2026.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It
so
took a
like
long
a year and
time.
a half.
That's what I'm saying. So people think it's just as easy as going on Twitter saying, I disavow this, take it down. No, it's a whole legal issue of who owns the rights, who owns the publishing. And that's for all the artists. Like I said, Frank Sinatra, his family couldn't get it done. And Trump kind of knows that. He knows that he can sow discord. And so when you don't have people to understand how it works, they go, oh, I hate Drake because he didn't go disavow this. He must be MAGA. He must be this.
You said, though, you rapping like you trying to free the slaves. That's,
you know what?
That's the one I think that in the lawsuit is what.
And that's a bone that I don't talk about publicly with Kendrick, with Kendrick Lamar, because I look at, and this is just me being objective. Kendrick can help so many different artists. Where Black Hippie at? Because I mean, I'm a big Schoolboy Q, Absol fan. Like Kendrick, and who knows their situation? You never know.
Well, he talked about it on the heart, from the heart.
Yeah,
he said like, I messed that up. He's like, I messed that whole thing up.
So you never.
Doja, they sleep. Yeah, we part of Just Posted Podcast, man. The best show on this network. Come on, check, girl.
Seriously, man. Just Posted. It's just me and Doja sitting back talking about what the fuck going on in the world and the streets.
We said labor of love. He said labor of love. I didn't say that shit. Shout out to you know what I'm saying, everybody coming to watch though, man. We really appreciate y'all. Holla at y'all later.
Hey man, this nigga just tall for no reason.
Gone.
And he do regular jobs. Don't forget that.
Artist situation. So I'm very careful about speaking about artist situations because we don't know these people, right? We're not in their homes, we're not in their businesses. So I'm very careful about that. But if I'm just objectively looking, I'm like, okay, you telling me to hate Drake because he's a colonizer, he's a Jew, he's a Canadian, all that. But look at all these artists he put on. We got French Montana, we got ASAP Rocky, we got Kendrick, we got 2 Chainz, we got all these guys because Migos. I didn't know who Migos was until I was at a house party.
ASAP was popping with the mixtapes way before Drake.
But what does ASAP say? Nobody was giving me a shot. Nobody was giving me a look. This is ASAP's own words until Drake came. That's ASAP's own words. I at least expect Kendrick to help just as many people. You know what I'm saying? Help just as many people because that's the only way. And this is how I'm thinking about hip hop.
But is he helping himself though? That's the thing though. It's like it looks like it's help, but I'm really stealing from you.
How are you helping yourself? But these are artists that nobody. I'll tell you, if you wasn't down with strange music.
Okay, so with that said, well, what we know, I'm glad you said that because I was going to get there. Okay, so if you have a history of putting people on, and which also in the case of what Dee said, let's see it at twofold. Like I'm helping these people, but it's also giving me this hit. What prevents him from doing that now? Because there's an artist out there that really don't give a shit about this beef and what's happening. And I want a moment to try or whatever. What prevents him from doing that now?
What prevents Kendrick from doing that now?
No, Drake.
Oh, Drake had to do this album by himself because people wanted to know what his pen was like. And that he could rap and he could do songs by himself. I personally was looking for the collaborations. Again, I told you that's what I wanted with Drake. I love the slappers that he does with the collaborations. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm just taking testimonials from people. What did the game say? Oh, I asked Drake, but he helped me with the song. He showed up with his video crew, filmed the video, did everything for me, and didn't ask me for a dime. What did P say from Quality Control that has Migos, Cardi B, and all that. No, we was
City Girls, all that.
yeah. I was in the dumps. I didn't have nothing. I was bankrupt. I spent all my money, and Drake just came and helped us. He ain't get. And so these are guys that could beat Drake up to do anything they want to Drake, but they like no, he helped. And so I think what happens is, and here's my
also the rich kid though.
What's that?
Comes trying to buy his way into coolness though.
And I was gonna say that I think it's a couple things. I think in the NBA, I keep using NBA references for this. I think that when you grow up in Canada, right across the water from New York, you look at America and hip hop culture with such appreciation. And so you think it's like Canada, where it's a mixing pot where, oh, well, yeah, I got these Jamaicans. If you listen to how people in Toronto talk, like they have the little, you know what I'm saying, the little patois on. They just, and they're so, and they think it's okay to like sample and pull from everything and kind of be this amalgamation of everything. In America, we segregate. No. Black people, white people, north, south. No, we don't do that. We from here. We don't mess with the people there. But he like, no, I like the way the Atlanta people. I'm gonna go do this in Atlanta. I'm gonna go to LA. I'm gonna do this. And people in the United States like, nah, we don't do that. So I think the appreciation is part of it. And the other part could be acceptance, because he talks about like being biracial and you don't feel black enough, you don't fit in. The Jewish people, you ain't Jew enough because you still got this curly hair, you still got brown skin, and then you looking for a home, and then you come here, you getting hip hop, and Lil Wayne calls you, Dr. Dre call you to write, and all of a sudden you found a home, you kind of jump into it. So I think it's a lot of different factors, but I think in order for hip hop to thrive in this next generation, whether it's Drake or anybody, I think that collaboration is going to have to keep going. You're gonna have to have Dave East get on a record with this guy. You're gonna have to have, all these different artists collaborate. When people are split, I mean, what Jay-Z say? Nobody wins when the family feuds. So I think that's part of it.
Hip hop needs therapy to me.
It does, but it does. Hip hop does need therapy. A lot of them do need therapists. But here's the other part, and y'all can tell me I'm wrong. I will be quiet. I will shut up about it. It's a conspiracy theory, but I look at it as the NBA theory, right? So the NBA, just like hip hop, especially hip hop is uniquely a Black urban American product. Can't nobody else stake claim to hip hop but Black, maybe some brown people in New York, in urban communities in America. Nobody can go, well, hip hop started here too. No, it's uniquely ours. It's our gold. It's our vibranium, right? It's our, when people say, well, this group of people do this group of people do that, entertainment is our vibranium. So we're going to gatekeep that, rightfully so, to say, like, we're not going to let somebody else who ain't from our culture, ain't from the urban area, ain't from the United States, be the top and represent and be the face of our. That's almost like the NBA. The NBA, Black men in the NBA made the NBA what it is. Kareem, Wilt, Shaq, Kobe, Jordan. So now every year the MVP is somebody who came from a different country. They came from Lithuania, Croatia. No, like, it's a unique Black American product that we will share. We will go global. We will sell it to you. We will let y'all be a guest, but nobody other than Black American people should run it. And I think a little bit of that bias is what's going on. Like, because I think if Drake had a little bit more cultural awareness because he was from Houston, or if he was from Memphis or something like that, I think he'd be all right. But since he's Canadian, some of the cultural cues that he missed sometimes, and he's not one of us. How can hip hop, which is our goal, say, oh yeah, is our goal, is our vibranium, but somebody else runs it? And I think that's what Black people are holding on to, rightfully so. And Black people do need to start gatekeeping some things.
No. I'm the first person to say gatekeeping needs to come back.
Yeah, gatekeeping. So when I hear people go in on Drake, that's what I hear. I hear Black people gatekeeping, saying, no, this is ours. We're not going to let y'all take that too. Because think of all the other genres of music that we started. Rock and roll, jazz, all these things. They, like, when we start doing that, they left us, right? And then people even forget that that's us. Like, nobody, like the average rock fan will go, oh yeah, if it wasn't for those Black people, like, we don't, like, even for me, my favorite rock bands are like from LA and from Great Britain, and they're white bands. And this is stuff that we started.
But the white bands know, though. They know, like even
the Beatles, right? But how often, unless you're in our age, you're in your 40s and you got gray hair, are you talking about how Little Richard paved the way for these people and James Brown paved the way? We're not having those conversations. So our generation is saying, look, we're not going to exploit and give hip hop away too. Because for a while, people was like, oh yeah, hip hop is dead. Black people gonna start migrating to the Southern soul, boots on the ground sound, or the Afro beats. And some black people like, no, this is ours. We're gonna continue to make millionaires and billionaires from it. We're gonna
Right.
this is how hip hop is how we globally affect the world, how the world speaks, how the world dresses, how the world does everything. And so black people are saying no, 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 no. So while I wish that don't be so hard on Drake. But I understand the sentiment, and I think that that's the part where, again, I didn't want the beef in the first place. I think that's where all this comes from. Black people are gatekeeping, and we need to gatekeep. We don't need to take hip hop and because I mean, think of what Drake also was doing. Which again, I'm not mad about it, but he was going over to the UK, right?
And
Like,
telling them they get the best rappers.
yeah, he's going over to the UK. He's and don't get me wrong, I even love Canadian hip hop, bro.
Yeah,
I mean, like
like
Cardinal Official,
Trey,
Chaos.
Cardinal
I,
Official,
yeah, I, I love it. I love it. But we like, nah, it's got to stay home. Like for the NBA, everybody else got to come here. If you from another country and you want to play with the best, you have to come here. You got to come here in the NBA. And so I think that black people are rightfully gatekeeping it. It just, I wish, and this is just my kumbaya type of personality, that we could figure out some way to like not smash people so harshly, but reinforce and say, Drake, this is what you're looking at, and you got to enforce the same way where like certain artists respected that, right? Like even Eminem, even though he's from Detroit, and so again, he has that cultural nuance. Eminem kind of knows his space in hip hop, right? He understands the feeling, he understands the sentiment,
and he knows where he can't go.
Yeah.
he knows where he can and can't go. And I think Drake didn't know where he can and can't go. So people start saying, bro, you're talking a little too tough on these records. You're getting a little too gangster. You're going these places.
And I think that's really what it was. It's like, we know this isn't your life. And then, you know, the same thing kind of like similarly to what people say about Rick Ross in a sense, right? Because
I mean, that was a straight
correctional,
and most rappers do it, but Drake has to understand.
I know that, but like we also,
but he understands he can't do it. That's what I'm saying. Drake has to understand based on a different level of circumstances that he comes from. Yeah, he can. So yes,
I miss that era of Rick Ross, like that luxurious Maybach music.
I love it.
Time. What a
but
time.
See, because he take you to Miami, right? I love going to his neighborhood and going down there. I used to go to a Jamaican. If you ever go to the Miami for a lot of their areas, my favorite Jamaican restaurant there is called Lorna's. I used to go right in his neighborhood, right? Be right in Carroll City, like Lorna's, the best Jamaican spot, in my opinion, in Miami. And I love hearing about it on the music and then feeling like I was there in his neighborhood. You go to the flea market and stuff like that. That's what hip hop was for. And now we just don't, so
but that goes back to what we talk about with imagination, right?
Right.
And so lack there people not being able, like, because times have gotten so tough, or people excuse me, have been conditioned to rap a certain way or to say this, and it's like a lot of sad emo rap too, you know, people ODing, and I'm like, who was this and what pill was that? I don't, you know,
right.
I'm just trying to drive down PCH and play like, you know,
and you want to feel a certain way when you drive down PCH, right?
And that's interesting that you say like where something takes you, you know, like how a song can take you somewhere. And I never looked at it through that lens, but like music does that quite often to me. And I think that's what it is. It's like and I know this sounds like, I'm gonna say it again. It is simply that he is now pushing 40 years old. If he's not 40.
Yeah, he's 38, 39. He's
pushing whatever.
40.
I think we're like the same age. Like, like 39. And Drake may actually be older than me. But it is just simply that he has not evolved as an artist to be.
But it's not his fault though. It's another man's fault.
It's
one man's fault. It's one man's fault, and it's not Drake's.
Klay Thompson?
Nope.
No, I'm joking. No, but I was saying, I think that's
it's Diddy's fault. Diddy. Diddy's the last one. He was the 60 years old, still up in the club. He's the one that was making people not being able to transition. I'm still in the club with 20-year-olds at 58. He wasn't transitioning. So everyone below that.
I'm not gonna put everything. You hate that nigga, and so do
I don't hate him. I just.
But people started asking questions like, "Diddy, you look weird, bro. Like, go."
But that's the thing. It's like, but I'm also gonna say this. I think it's a part of like your camp and who you keep around you, because it's a lot of yes people, and it's not people.
But that's always been yes people, though. It's always been
I get that, but it's okay. the clips probably have Yes Men. It was the hardest album that had been put out in several years. You know what I mean? I'm like, Kendrick, pretty sure he has Yes Men. Hardest album, arguably, of the last 10 years.
All the men are family men now, though. Just like my
Oh,
homeboy
I
said.
don't
Like,
care.
I want
I
homeboy
don't.
that's in the
What I'm
club
saying,
at 44.
I'm not gonna say that you have to be a family man to evolve. I'm not gonna go that far.
No.
But I'm just
What I
gonna
mean by that
say,
is like having a family does make you evolve more.
It
Though.
forces you to.
no,
It
it
forces you to.
should. But some of these niggas,
Listen,
They got
which is
women
why I
here.
won't knock them. Which is why listen, if I had not had my sons, I probably would. So that's why I'm kind of not hard on him. When I tell y'all, when I was out there, when I was single, when I finally got my life together, and girls start saying, "Okay, well, I'll date him. I'll talk to him. He's not a loser. He's not this." Listen, when I figured out that I had a good job, and I could just go buy a plane ticket, and I can go anywhere in the world, and I can go places, and I can just like buy what I want to buy and do what I that. And you're meeting all these different people. I can see how that when I got out the game, I had to make a constant decision like, all right, bro, you're a grown man. You got to get out. You got to stop. But it was so easy to keep the party going. Like it was
Also,
like
but
you have to force yourself to get out.
and that's what I was gonna say. You had a coming to Jesus moment with yourself, and I don't think that he has necessarily had that because he still.
Once you have a child, what for? You got all the money in the world and you have a child. Why would you do that? Same thing with Klay Thompson, right? Klay Thompson's around the same age. It's like if you don't get out there, what's that?
They don't have
Yeah.
no kids though.
Yeah, so I mean, like, unless it's a core family value that you have, like for me, I knew I always wanted to be a dad. I growing up, like, and that was part of my healing of being able to be the father that I wish I had. You know what I'm saying? And so I always knew I wanted to be a family man. And I said there are certain things I have to give up if I want to be a dad and I want to be home to raise my sons. And that was a conscious decision I made. But I can't imagine having hundreds of millions of dollars and being like that and just having everything at your disposal. And then once you get a kid out the way, what am I getting married for kind of thing? Even though I chose differently, I can see how that could be tough. Because what woman's going to tell you no?
That's something ultimately he wants.
What's
because
that?
of having a partner. Like the nigga's still not over Rihanna. You talking about women that you had sex with like 20 years ago. So at some point, I think there is something inside of him that does want that. It's just that it's more of a
it's vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
We talked about the revenge, and you won't find peace until you heal, right? We talk, yeah. See,
but also, but like with this, so we're talking about mental health. There's a conversation about it. It's just simply that he needs to go to therapy. I think
and he does. But I'll tell you, for me,
does he?
Yes, he does. And I'll tell you this, and this again, and maybe this is controversial. One of the biggest problems as a black man that I had, because I know a lot of commentary around black women is negative. I had quite the opposite experience, even going through what I went through at a younger age with girls and not being the it guy and being picked and all that. But once I got into my 30s, and I was able to be stable in my own life, there are so many good black women options. I'm just into black women only.
No. I agree with you.
There are so many, and I think that and you, the way you present yourself, and me watching y'all's content over many episodes, the way you present yourself is very well. So imagine if there were 10 of you in a room and you're telling me just to pick one. How do I choose? There's a short version of you, a tall version of you, a slightly smarter, above average intelligence one, one that's more fun and more sporty. When you have that many great options in black women alone, and if you're like Drake, he date everything. So you mean to tell me you're getting the cream of the crop of all these different women, and everybody saying, well, just grow up, just go sit down. Yeah, look how old Jay-Z was, and he had to get Beyonce to do it. Look at ASAP, he had to get Rihanna to do it.
So yes, that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's hard.
I'm not saying that that's not hard, and y'all don't think for women that is not hard, because a lot of you niggas is dumb. So a lot of you niggas is dumb, and a lot of you niggas is broke, and that's no diss, but it is hard. Like, just like y'all think y'all have, like, oh my god, trust me, for a lot of women it's like that as well. But it goes back to what you said, what the baseline is, and you even said how it was for you. And I need to do this, and I need to do that, which it don't always have to be that. You know what I mean? And I think the conversation here is okay. So are you going to put yourself in situations that allows for you to gain experience, for your music to mature and grow. It's like that concept of, you know, when I was a child and I played with toys, and then as I grew, I had to put, you know, certain things away, you know, that scripture and all that stuff, that story in the Bible. And it's so it's the same thing as we elevate and grow up in life. Like it's about like if I could see if in these past 2 years that of him being whatever, I went to explore life. I blocked out the noise, and I really had this and this experience and that experience, but that's not what's translating to the music, at least for me. Like I told you, I said, yo, I'm trying hard. I was like, but between these, I can't even hear the lyrics because the beat is so, you know.
You know what will give you a good experience with that album? Go on YouTube and don't listen to the album, watch the videos. That'll change how you ingest it. And then I have a question for you. So Jay-Z is 56 years old, right?
Okay. Don't ask me. I date older men. Next.
Yeah. So there you go. but okay. So I'll even give you a car analogy and bring it back to rap. So my favorite car brand, or one of my favorite car brands, is Mercedes, right? And so you know they have the different classes. So at a certain age you drive a C class, a certain age you drive an E class, and then you go to the S class, then you go to the Maybach. You can't go to the S class or the Maybach too young, because then where do you go after that? There's nowhere else to go outside of a Rolls Royce. If you're in your 30s, but I'm saying, like, so if you're in your 30s, like Drake, and you do the maturity thing, what do you do when you become 56 like Jay-Z?
But it's now, okay, so by this time, maybe he would have different, like,
you're done. You're done by the time you're Jay-Z.
I think that's not fair to say that he would be done. I think it would just be that you would have a different experience, because you would hope that, you know, you would elevate on like a financial level, like family.
You saying you become a full-on capitalist then?
You know, I mean, hey,
yeah, I mean, because that's all Jay-Z. That's all this left for Jay-Z, really, right?
Is Drake not?
Oh yeah, but I'm saying a full-on capitalist.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm like, but you would have different things that have taken place. Like even if it was something, you know, like just how life happens to us. Life is happening to them. They're not exempt from that. Right. You know, like I was listening to Nick Grant's album today, and you know, and he's talking about and shout out to you, Nick. But you know, like one of his things that suddenly happened to him was his sister passing away last year. So that's life happening. And so we know at one point, what was the one cat that was sick over there at OVO?
And 40, the producer. 40. So again, that's another portion of what's missing from Drake's production, right? So your guy that started out with you, that can tell you no, that's your key engineer. There you go.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, so even in this, and this is how outside.
Y'all wanted me for 30 minutes, and I've been on here for almost 2 hours.
Yeah,
I'm gonna chop this up too.
I'm so sorry for monopolizing y'all time.
No. Look, we good. We
big fan of the show, and glad y'all.
Where can people check out all your stuff out?
You know what? If you look at Minority Health Partners on all platforms, you can find me there. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, the Elon Musk app, Blue Sky, Spill, Fanbase, every platform is some form of Minority Health Partners. TikTok, all those different things. And I do some full-length interviews like this, but I normally just do what's in my head, 3-minute freestyles on certain issues. That's mostly what I do every day. And I also
okay, sorry, I was trying to find you, and then
it's all good. I also do health advocacy. So you'll see me working with a lot of community organizations. So I'll be doing the Alzheimer's walk in St. Louis this year.
Okay.
On Halloween. So we'll get out and do the walk for Alzheimer's, because dementia and Alzheimer's is in our community as well. We working with the Prostate Cancer Foundation. So a lot of different organizations you'll see me working with too. So all I ask for anybody that's watching this, if you see something that is affecting your family or something that you deeply care about, reach out to me. I will help in any way that I can. Or just even if it's just a walk, or you give $1 to a cause that you care about, just help out, because what may seem small to you will help the whole community. And we want our mamas and papas and kids to be around and be as healthy as they can. So hopefully that helps. And I'm just glad y'all had me, and I really appreciate it.
No. This is dope. This is dope stuff, man. Look, this is dope content. I got a lot to chop up. So yeah. Don, where can people hit you up at?
You can hit me up on wherever you social network at St. Angela's. And shameless plug, Whiskey Sour new episode dropping tomorrow at some time. And then
the movie. We got the movie.
Oh yeah, the movie. You know, Do You See Her out on Prime? You can rent me for $2.99 or have me for a lifetime for $9.99. And also Stone Cold Freaks will be dropping the first week of June. I don't know, like I think we're gonna do it that Monday, but I don't know if that's June 1st. So don't quote me on that. I think that's June 1st. I think that's Monday. So yeah, I'm super excited to share that with y'all. We got some really good stuff coming y'all way. So yeah. That's it.
Man, well, thank y'all for always checking us out, and we will see y'all soon. Peace.
Peace.